Hey, Haohmaru's been out for about a week now, so I thought maybe now would be a good time to go through some of my initial impressions of this character. So let's get straight into it. I think he particularly excels at this kind of range, where you're like just at the tip of 6B, because you can kind of play the game almost like it is a 2D fighter. If they want to try and close the gap, you can punish those attempts with low commitment pokes like 6B. And this is a really good poke, because if you know that it's going to hit, you can do 6v6 into this little mix-up stance, which is pretty good. Like, it's a good reward for a 50-50. And the reason that Haohmaru is such a threat at this kind of range, in my opinion, is that it's not just his mid-range pokes, it's the fact that his backstep's so damn good. Like, if they're to block a 6B at tip range, they're not going to be able to do anything about your backstep unless they're like Ivy or Mina. Pretty much the entire cast is just going to have to hold that and respect his backstep. And of course 6B is linear, so you'll have to mix this up with a few step kills, but Haohmaru has no shortage of mid-range step kills. So if you want a knockdown, you can do 623A. Another great step kill is instant while rising A. This move is I14 from crouch, and it's a horizontal high mid, and it's got some insane range. Like, the second hit will hit from here. Like, this move is so good. And another step kill that I'd often use is 22A, and this move's just a great pressure starter because you've got so many options. You've got the low, you've got the mid, and you've got the stance transition, so you can do that into mix-up. Another move I think is hella underrated is 214K. You can link 214K off other moves as well, like 6xb 214K, and this gives you like such a low commitment mid. And the reason I think 214K is so good is because of the pushback on block. So if I set my opponent to block everything, look at that, 4 chip damage, and pushes him so far back. So when we do 6xb into 214K, look at the distance that creates. So if you do 6xb 214K and then backstep, the majority of the cast are going to have nothing to catch your backstep. Look at that, 6b doesn't catch, 6xb doesn't catch. I could try and dash forward first, but it's too safe, it recovers quick enough for him to block. And bear in mind that you can't sidestep this. You'll just get hit if you try and sidestep the second hit. You have to GI it, and the best part is level 2 GI, so it's not even that risky. And you can call out at GI, you can do 6xb into a break attack, or you can do 6xb into nothing and then launch that GI. So the fact that you've just got this amazing safe spacing tool is pretty ridiculous. Another thing that really stands out to me with Haohmaru is his grabs. Command grabs are +8 on break, and Haohmaru has 2 of them. So whenever your opponent breaks a grab from Haohmaru, they're putting themselves at -8, even though they guessed correctly. And a broken grab kind of puts you back at the ideal sort of spacing around here. And as we've seen, you can mix those grabs up with that really safe, low commitment mid with 6xb. And the great thing about Haohmaru's grabs is you can pump resources into them to make them do extra damage. So if you're in rage mode, you've got some additional combos you're allowed to do. If you're in soul charge, you get a few extra combos as well. 2 stacks off this one. And if you're in rage explosion, well, you can just straight up murder them with both of these grabs. As for his weaknesses, it's kind of hard to say at the moment because we're still learning this character. There might still be options to cover up these weaknesses. But I'm initially thinking that, for saying he's such a good mid-range character, his whiff punishment at range isn't anything special. So like I was saying earlier, if I get you to block a 6B around here and then a backstep, what are you going to do about it, right? But at the same time, what am I going to do about it if you just whiff something? Haohmaru doesn't really have any whiff punishers at this kind of range. I need to dash forward and do a 6xb into whatever. And this is a great whiff punisher, but like any character with an okay ranged I-16 or I-18 CE can do that. You know, for saying that he has so much control over the mid-range with his pokes and his amazing backstep, he doesn't have the strongest whiff punishers. Like, I mean, there's B plus K, but this move's I-28. Like, how often are you whiff punishing with I-28s? The opponent really has to commit to something and commit hard for you to whiff punish with this. And like, it's 46 damage at tip range, you don't get the full 70 unless you're close up, and it's -4 on hit, so it doesn't seem like anything special, you know. Another minor thing is his close range pokes are a little on the slower side, like his AA is only I-14, his BB is I-16, but I don't think it's a huge issue because his standing I-12s he can still do 2A or 6-6K, and for I-14 he can do A slide B into whatever, you know. This all combos, I think it's 65 damage, so it's not a huge issue. The only other thing I could potentially think of is I don't really know if this character has that much bullshit compared to some of the rest of the cast. And when I say that, I mean, we're in SOULCALIBUR 6, there are no honest characters. Everyone has some kind of bullshit. Something that makes you think, wow, this is unfair, who signed off on this? Like, this should not have been allowed into the game. You know, like Siegfried has Dark Legacy, Aswell has his Axlow, Talim has her Reversal Edge Cancel, Mina has her guard damage, her ring outs, her hell sweeps, her safe tracking launcher, her Oki, her soul charge, you know, everyone has some bullshit. Haohmaru, he has his rage explosion, which is pretty bullshit, because like everything he does combos into it. So he can grab you for over 100 damage, like he can catch you breathing from like this range and kill you for it. So rage explosion is pretty bullshit, but on the plus side it is once per game, like once he spends this he can't use rage again, and you'll notice that as his soul gauge runs out it starts to do less and less damage. See, that only did 50 as opposed to the 98 it would do at the start of his rage explosion, so if you're able to survive it for a little bit you're less likely to just have your health bar evaporated. But I guess time will tell as to how bullshit this character actually is. Like, he's got a lot going for him, he's got some very good pokes, he's got solid neutral, and his movement, especially his backstep and his forward step, are kind of ridiculous. So he's got a lot of potential. One thing I've got to say is I'm so happy with how they've implemented this character. There are so many nods to Samurai Showdown, like these 2D inputs, normals that you cancel into specials, and this the 10 input super is a nice touch. The disarm mechanic, like you can go into a stance where he's essentially disarmed. They've done such a good job of incorporating those 2D mechanics from the game he comes from, but making them work in SOULCALIBUR, making it feel like he is playing this game. So I'm really impressed with what they've done, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he fits into the meta. To anyone who made it this far, thank you so much for watching all of this, and let me know your thoughts on this character. Do you agree with what I said? Is there anything you disagree with? Is there anything you want to add? Let me know, I'd be interested to hear what you think. Thanks, ciao.